Hello, good evening, and welcome. My name is Mike Moritz, and the name of this video is Ranking the Songs of the Intervision Song Contest 2025. Yes, Intervision. Really. Now, would you believe that I have deeply overthought this video time and time again? My original notes dating back to the day after this show was broadcast. There is a version of this script which goes deep into all the geopolitics and blah 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 blah. Look, I am fairly happy with that script. But the way I figure it is, you don't come to a song ranking video for that gas. If you do want that, please comment below, because I have thoughts about it and I go deep. But if you want a video to poke fun at this show and get all superior about it, look elsewhere as well. Because for now, let us all, together, acknowledge the herd of elephants in this room and instead focus on the songs in the contest. You see, dear friends, I realized that, to be brutally honest, this contest is way too mid to warrant 15 minutes of my uninformed geopolitical takes. Intervision is the Paul Masson of song contests. It's perfectly fine, but it's no Stradivarius, despite its pretensions. And with that in mind, I plan on treating this contest as much as I do the Eurovision Song Contest, which is with playful respect, praise where earned, vitriol where deserved, and above all, a buy-in to the unbelievable premise that this is simply a song contest with no political or soft power implications. Let us go into this with both eyes open, and let me give you my tepid takes on Intervision 2025. The rules. As per my other videos, this is a ranking of my favorites. What I liked is at the top. The ones that I didn't like are at the bottom. I feel obliged to say that my preference for these songs is based solely on the songs and is not a value judgment on their countries or the performers. Now, the scoring for Intervision is bonkers, and I will not be using it. So basically, everyone gets at least 1 point from the juries, and the higher rankings get more points to a maximum of 29 points. I will instead be using a simple 10 to 1 point system for the top 10 of my rankings, and the reason is I'm worried about imbalance in the future years if the numbers of entrants changes, and yes, I am currently planning on watching the 26th edition if it happens. There is no televote here for the record. Intervision was juries only. No Australia means I don't have to include my no voting for your own country rule. The songs. Here we go. Sir not appearing in this contest. The United States of America. Did you know that the US was supposed to have an entrant in the Intervision Song Contest? That's wacky. But friends, even though it didn't happen, I can tell you a story. I can actually pitch in on this. So, the original performer was going to be someone named B. Howard. And that copyright claim is wrong at the bottom. So he pulled out for, quote, unforeseen family circumstances, whatever that means. He was replaced by Vassie, who is someone I've never heard of, but who is a dual US-Aussie citizen. Now, according to Intervision, she was unable to compete for reasons beyond the control of the organizers and the US delegation, caused by unprecedented political pressure from the government of Australia, which is certainly a claim. Furthermore, the press release says the government of Australia issued an official note addressed to the artist, which just sounds hilarious to me. Maybe it's a poor translation issue. I mean, this is the website that lists the winning country as Vietnam. But they don't say anything about this note, what it is, what it said. It just said they sent a note. Okay. Now, if you ask my take, and again, we have previously established my takes are somewhat uninformed, but If you ask my take, Vasi was announced on the 17th, and the contest was on the 20th, which makes me feel this was extremely last-minute replacement for B. Howard, and that delegation probably didn't take into account the fact that Australia has a whole bunch of sanctions on Russia, including like the bank that is sponsoring the show. And our Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade does advise that Australians not travel to Russia because of, look, it's a whole panoply of reasons. But long story short, no consular support if things go awry. Now, I would hazard a guess that the delegation didn't consider that, and Intervision decided to frame it as a political statement rather than a bureaucratic one, which I think, considering the contest as a whole, is actually a pretty good direction to take it, but that's just my take. At least when a contestant isn't able to compete, they did the full intro and addressed it on stage as opposed to just pretending nothing was wrong. It makes a fantastic story this way, and it has the upside of casting me as a villain of Intervision. So remember, if you don't like my takes, I'm just the bullying Australian. I don't have any thoughts on Vasi's song because it wasn't in the show. Number 22. Uzbekistan. Are you ready for some profoundly mediocre Central Asian ballads? Friends, we are in new territory on this channel here. The lowest song in these lists has always been bad or in some way unlistenable, and this isn't. It isn't. It's fine. The song is fine. I'd give it 5 out of 10 on a bad day. The problem is, that describes a lot of songs on this list, and in a ranking, something has to end up on the bottom. So let me describe this one for you. Let's say you plug your Gen AI. Describe it to it a platonic ideal of an Intervision song, and it would approximate this. Traditional singing style? Check. Local instrumentation? Check. Low-key EDM beats? Because look, it's the 20s and we aren't savages? Check. Even the faintest smattering of dubstep. It all synthesizes to an effective piece of ethnic trance that never outstays its welcome, but it never really kicks up to second gear to really amount to anything. Number 21. Kyrgyzstan. So, if that one was, say, like, brewed in a vat, this one was also brewed in a vat, but a completely different vat. This one is so Eurovision classic. If the Nomad Trio weren't obviously Central Asian, I'd wonder if this wasn't some like Croatian track from the noughties or the 2010s that I somehow missed. Like the 3-part harmonies, the woman in the moon, the "ooh, we're holding light" effect that they are so proud of. It comes back throughout the show. Like, all of this is straight out of the playbook, and it works, don't get me wrong, but it barely has any of the cultural uniqueness that I kind of feel is the hat of Intervision. I keep calling it Eurovision, I'm sorry. Look, it's more inherently listenable than the Uzbek entry, but that's more or less the only thing I have that's a point of difference. Number 20. Kazakhstan. Oh yeah, I wasn't kidding about this being a block. Arguably the most beautiful looking of the songs so far, and the chorus really friggin' soars. But beyond that, I feel like we're in a game of inches. You can bring out all the children you want and all the CG butterflies, but this one gives me nothing that feels inherently Kazakh or Kazakhstani. It's just a big belty number with a little girl on stage for extra cheese. And I am 100% sure that they messed up the lighting cue at the start, showing him in cold blue light instead of the warm golden glow of the steppe that they intended. Number 19. Egypt. Now, if you would have asked me what the Arab countries would have sent, I had no prior knowledge, this is basically what I would have expected. A man who I suppose is conventionally attractive, wearing a casual suit, singing a mid-tempo track with decent rhythm and, quote, ethnic instrumentation. Something straddling modernity and conservatism. Again, this is textbook Eurovision with vinyl scratches to sound now while sounding, to my ear at least, like 100 other Arabic mid-tempo tracks I've heard over the years, thought, yeah, sounds alright, and then completely forgotten once it's all over. This song leaves no impression on me. It's fine, I like it, but nothing in its pedestrian presentation engages the eyes or the ears. Number 18. Russia. And now, to go in the complete opposite direction, Russia pulls out all the stops and literally draws from its Eurovision playbook. The staging evokes Sergei's staging from Scream or You Are the Only One, both much better songs, while using cyberpunk imagery and even bringing out the AR dancers from the eye catchers. The problem is, this is just a rough performance. Like, he's belting, but it sounds like he's scratching the upper end of his range, and it sounds rough. Now, for reference, this show opens with Dima Bilan, the winner from 2008, and Polina, who was the Russian entrant in 2015, and they are so much better than Shaman here. Heck, one of the hosts is Alexei from Euro 2011, and he's a better performer tonight, and almost all of his lines are just repeating what the Indian host says in Russian. At least he's charming. Like, Russia has had some absolute banger songs in the past, but this is no Russian Woman or Party for Everybody. Hell, it's not even a Lost and Forgotten. After this, Shaman got on stage and asked to be excluded from judging. I think that's just to save face, because all he would have gotten here is politeness votes. 17. India. I have to confess here, people, my entirety of experience with music in Hindi is what I've heard in restaurants and grocery stores, so I have no grounding in Hindi language soft rock like this. I like it though. It really shows the difference with Eurovision. So Eurovision would have taken those guitars and really let them squeal, but here it's just a nice, like, sonic bed to let the lyrics take prominence. And bless him, he's trying to engage with the crowd, but this is just the wrong venue for him. Give this man a Marshall stack and a few Catherine wheels. I'd happily watch his set at a festival. I've just got a feeling this performance was hampered by the mood of the show itself, and that's why it doesn't really pop off. Number 16. Yeah, Cuba. Hell yeah. This is what I'm on about. If there was one thing that Intervision could do to plant a flag to declare that they are different from Eurovision, this is basically it. This was the first song on the show, and what a statement to kick off with. This is not a pop song by any style or convention that I know of. I'm assuming by the name Guaguanco that this is the music style of Guaguanco. That's the kind of hot take that you come to me for, which is not a genre I know much about. I'm more familiar with son music, you know, the kind of Cuban music that's jazz, I guess. But this is very great and aggressively Cuban. Strong rhythm section, bright and brassy instrumentation, and then there's the Tron showing this glorious cityscape, and then the costuming. I mean, if the goal was to create Cuba on stage in a 3-minute microcosm, I'm making a note here. Huge success. Number 15. Brazil. At times I wonder that Intervision is being too stereotypical, but then I remember that one of its mission statements is literally cultural tradition, so it's almost packed in. So we get this brassy, rhythmic odyssey from Cuba, and Brazil presents us with a carnival party anthem in which she's literally waving the flag. That's colorful, a high-energy guitar line, leading a bold brass section and rapid-fire lyrics. It's almost too obvious, which, let's face it, could probably be the subtitle of the show. Intervision 2015 or 2025. It's almost too obvious. Look, it's not the only carnival song in the lineup. It is the inferior one for me, focusing more on energy and vibes and being a solid song in its own right. Actually, it's not unlike the Cuban entry in that way. Number 14. The United Arab Emirates. I kind of feel bad for stereotyping, but I expected something like this from Saudi Arabia, who, I will point out, has not appeared on the list yet. And I'm assuming attractive man in traditional dress and headdress singing a pretty mid-tempo ballad that really leans into the unique sonic palette that the Arabic language affords a singer. Like, my Arabic is so minuscule as to be non-existent, but this one is nice. It's not exciting, but it's not trying to be. It's trying to be pretty and peaceful, and it succeeds at that greatly. Number 13. Serbia. The only country appearing in both Eurovision and Intervision this year, and good on them. I'll remind you that their entrant in 2025 was Mila, which I put in the 30s on my list. In comparison, this song is much less exciting, a chugging mid-tempo rock track through which they weave some ethnic instrumentation, solid harmonies, and that hair, which reminds me of Stanley Tucci's character in The Hunger Games. Pick this up and put it in the 2010s and it'll be a solid non-qualifier, or one that just ekes through and is forgotten by all but the strongest of fans. There's good stuff here, but unexciting and a little too Eurovision amidst the rest of the offerings in this show. Number 12. Vietnam. Wait, hold on. I just need to make a little change here. There we go. I still can't believe they misspelled the name on their website. It's still there in March 2026. Oh dear. And they won. Look, I can see why this song actually won. It's a fusion of grand cultural staging and a mixture of rap and EDM that doesn't feel aggressively dated. This is a team that understood the assignment. Like, nothing here feels too conservative, but it also doesn't feel transgressive, and that's exactly what Intervision is aiming for, so they did it. We're also out of the doldrums of the mid-tempo with an exciting and vibrant stage show that never lets up. It's only here on this list because, as good as it is, this isn't the kind of music that I personally listen to. Number 11. South Africa. I had the hardest time placing this one. See, like, I grew up in the 90s, aware of stuff like Ladysmith Black Mambazo, the Graceland album, Paul Simon, and, Disney, Lion King. So these kind of South African harmonies really strike a chord deep within me to the point where I honestly don't know if I'm overrating this song. Like, I like the energy and I like the harmonies. And the topic matter about global community is like classic song competition cheese. It just sounds so good when sung in this style. And the staging is brighter and more energetic, and they have a giant dress. Everyone loves a giant dress. So from Cape Town to Moscow, I should love this. But it just doesn't land for me. Like, all the parts are great, but when I listen to this as a whole thing, it just doesn't. Consistency in a listening experience is important, and this is just a rough ride. Also, their mics are super peaking, and it is bad. Number 10. Belarus. I have no pretensions that replaying the hits doesn't work on me if it feels fresh enough. You see, it's not just a woman trapped in a box, as famously done by Azerbaijan in 2013. We also have a bunch of aerialists. This song is just my level of ridiculous. It's a techno belter with all the drama you can expect of the Slavic pop acts when they really let loose. It's honestly embarrassing to Russia that Belarus schooled them this hard. There's better singing, better music, better staging, better song. Moth is so good that this could comfortably left side of the Eurovision scoreboard in a decent year, and I reckon would give it a fair shake in a strong year. Operatic belting that the ESC juries love, and a cracking backing track with bonkers staging to boot. Number 9. Colombia. Exhibit, C in songs that I wouldn't expect to see at Eurovision, and Exhibit A in songs I wouldn't expect to see at Intervision. This is like deep woods magic here, with enchanting harmonies and entrancing percussion. It's like a snapshot of rowing through the mangroves, out of the physical world and into the realm of spirit. Like we've had deep woods magic at Eurovision before with songs like Shum and Fulen. But the only thing I think that comes as close to the mood and wonder of this piece is Burman Laimi from Latvia in 2025. But even that felt like an actual song. This feels like an actual spell, like an actual piece of mangrove magic scooped up and deposited into a Russian concert hall. Yeah, it's low on this list, and yes, for this song, this qualifies as low because it's not something I'll listen to as a song. But this is really something special. Number 8. Saudi Arabia. Okay, I need to get this out of the way, everybody. The Saudis not only sent a woman to represent them, but I can see her hair. Heck, the men accompanying her are dressed more conservatively. Remember though, modesty is a two-way street. The person being looked at, but also the person looking. Show some respect. Anyway, this song is beautiful. I believe it is a love song, saying, not to have any worries because I'm here. It's pretty safe topic matter, but there's something to be said for how she's singing it. Because gosh darn, this is a pretty song. The, let's say shredding to give the piece some edge is charming too. The song in no way needs it, but it rounds out the piece and makes it a satisfying listening experience. Number 7. China. I have now learned that the Russian word for China is Kitai. This show is educational. Anywho, I was excited for this because I was like, well, what's China going to bring? Answer, I don't know. I don't listen to East Asian pop. I don't know, Japanese city pop, but I'm not really hip to anything contemporary. Is this kind of low energy crooning something you get a lot of in C-pop? Is C-pop even a thing? Do we call it C-pop? I don't know. Anyway. Whatever it is, I am transfixed by his voice. Those low notes are wonderful and sonorous, and when it kicks up for the chorus, it's like classic boy band pop from the 90s. You add to that the moon and the stars on the Tron and his coat and the styled hair. This is like some classic bad boy seduction energy on stage. I'll put this one on and just vibe for 3 minutes. Number 6. Ethiopia. Hey, you ever play that game Techno Babylon, the cyberpunk game set in East Africa? Yeah, this reminded me of that. With it's like the neon futuristic cityscapes, and well, I asked James from Technocrat, and he said it's actually set in Kenya. So I guess I'm wrong. Anyway, that aside, this slaps. I struggled to find a good translation of the title, but I think it means God, and the song is about love being a blessing from the Almighty, which, I'll be honest, is not a take I hear often in this way, and it works. Turns out when you plug African languages into free Western translation software, they have a sulk. Anyway, I don't know if half of this instrumentation is traditional, but it sounds unique and catchy. Like, my immediate point of reference is Deep Forest, but this is superior because she's actually Ethiopian. So it's like Afrofuturism flavoring, a world beat groove, over which we get a well-sung earworm of a dance song. Yes, please, more of this, thank you. Number 5. Venezuela. Now, while I would say Brazil had a more carnival-sounding piece, the enthusiasm that embodies Fiesta de la Paz is just infectious. Not that you know from that crunchy guitar over the techno beat that, I don't know, is that 90s? Is that 90s? I don't know. It wouldn't be a show like this if something didn't feel dated while acting it was super cool. Anyway, so once we move on from that extremely odd intro, the bulk of this track is just a big old summer party jam that almost actually gets some smiles from the crowd. This is, not to put too fine a point on it, a damn near perfect execution of what it is trying to be. Bright, energetic, and fun. I don't know what else I have left to say. Number 4. Tajikistan. And completely undermining my premise that the best of Intervision are the cultural showcases, we get Tajik reggae pop with a little bit of crunchy guitar for texture. Look, I am a ska boy. I like what I like. I don't see this qualifying for a Eurovision final, but when that beat starts skanking, I am all aboard the nutty train, and I am logged in. Him jumping all over the floor like he's playing The Floor is Lava is just icing on the cake. I can't hate this. Number 3. Qatar. At one point, I had this as number 1. I was actually working on the presentation itself with this in the number 1 slot. But the more I listen to it, it's not that this one is bad, it's that it's weaker than the remaining 2. So for context, this song is the entire reason for this video existing. Cards on the table, I wasn't even going to watch the show back in September. I had no intent to, until I saw this image. Not even an official video, just like some ranking video of a fan. And I'm like, wait, Qatar sent a hijabi? Heck, Qatar is competing? I needed to see this. Like, what does this song sound like? My curiosity for this one song is why this video exists. And I sat down to watch with my wife after dinner. We riffed on it. She fell asleep before the end because it was so mid. But before that, we watched Qatar, and she said to me, you wouldn't see this at Eurovision. And sadly, I think she's right. Like, not even when Morocco competed, or like Jamala won in 2016, I can't think of a single, like, veil on stage. And I think that was elevating the song in my eyes, that emotional impact, which is not, like, I should point out, in any way, a poor song. It's number 3 on this list. It's another soft rock piece that never quite kicks up, but the chorus is catchy and Dana's having fun on stage. I've discussed how pretty Arabic can sound. I've never heard it sound so joyful. Like, again, my exposure to Arabic pop is non-existent. I tried to translate it and wasn't making a lot of sense, but I think I get the vibe, and if I'm right, this is lovely, and if I'm wrong, then see prior comments about me being an idiot Australian. Like, also, she's just charming. Like, there's an interview segment where they try to get her to play a balalaika, and she's like, I just had a manicure, I can't play it properly. Which is like, nice save. I would like to have this higher, but sometimes I struggle to remember the hook. Which is not a problem I have with our top 2. Number 2. Madagascar. If you ask me which of the songs in the Intervision Song Contest 2025 is the most Eurovision ready, it's either Belarus or it's this one. It's a big old heartwarming duet with soaring strings and killer harmonies. Now, the last video I did was the 2023 Eurovision review. And coming to this, after having to endure the live version of Burning Daylight, it is no contest. Chiako Hanjeki drags that song out the back, beats it up, takes its lunch money, which it then uses to pay for the most beautiful ice cream date at the beach at sunset. Like, you could take everything about this song, staging, performance, even the camera work, and it would fit in comfortably at any Eurovision. It's just a fantastic song. But my number 1 is Kenya. Now, I had to listen to a lot of these songs to compile this list. And I will be honest, it was a bit of a chore. Even the better songs on this list were a bit of nothing. But there was one track, one blasted track, that lodged itself deep inside my brain meats and refused to leave. Of the 22 songs that I've discussed here today, this one was the one I was humming. The vocal melody, the simple rhythm, the warm instrumentation, the stupid Nintendo 64 sounding synth stabs. And then that vocal performance. Like, in a weaker performance, I would be hauling "You're So Perfect, You're So Worth It" as a terrible rhyme and a lyric as bad as undo my sad. But here, it is wonderful. Like, it's a heartwarming declaration of the sweetest love with those African rhythms. This song's like a big warm hug. And look, yes, almost like everything in this blasted show, we are balls deep in the mid-tempo, but those cascading harmonies and the sweetness of the song itself, I adore this. I do legitimately think you could take this to Eurovision, and it could make a final. If the goal of this contest was to actually show off cultural representation through the form of pop music with non-political lyrics, this is your winner for me. 10s across the board. That's Intervision 10s. Like, this song doesn't even beat my top 26 of the last 3 Eurovisions I reviewed. Either of them. Maybe it could duke it out with a code. Maybe. Final thoughts. And that is our list. All in all, Intervision 2025 was a show I liked the idea of more than I liked the show itself. The premise of all these different cultures from across the world presenting their music in a big showcase seemed so cool, and then I'm watching it and it's like, yeah, it's alright. The glowing praise I have for some of these entries may lead you to believe that this is some kind of hidden gem, but friends, I'm grading on a curve here. The top of this list maybe brushes like the bottom of my top 10 in Eurovision 2025, and it's not even close in 2023. And there's all these little organizational issues with the shows that I haven't gotten into. Like, the production values are great, as are those postcards. That's why I used them in this video. But there's no energy in the room. There's all these stretches of awkwardness and dead air. They break the action for interminable interview segments. Like, there's the fact that the jury representatives get a whole segment introducing them, and then they don't even present their own votes. The fact that it's 4 hours long. But then you get a gem like Kenya or Madagascar, and I feel like the slog is almost worth it. Like, do I recommend that you watch this show? Oh God, no. But do check out the songs. You'll never see something as unique as Colombia at Eurovision. I only hope when it returns in Riyadh in 2026 that they preserve that feeling of a cultural mosaic that I do believe is the contest's biggest asset. Like, if they hammer out the production issues and the pacing and they keep the song quality of not great but solidly average to good, you'll have a fine little contest here. What else? Will I do my usual end of show infographics? Sure, why not? Here. I found someone did the Eurovision hearts with all the flags of the world, so there you go. And then the songs. Boom. There you go. I didn't do a bottom 10. It's not worth doing a bottom 10. Will I review past Intervision? Why would I? The other Intervisions have nothing to do with this one, apart from the name. Like, the 2008 version was a 3-day format. Sounds bonkers, though. Will I review the 2026 show? If it happens, sure, why not? I'm planning on doing Eurovision. Look, if you have any thoughts or comments, please drop them below. I would love to hear what you thought about the show or the songs. I had a lot I didn't talk about here, but this has gone on long enough. My name's Mike Moritz. Good night, and take care.